theme for me hits home because, as Mimi said, this is the story of our parents, our relatives, and for some of you who are not from Rwanda, you hear it and it almost sounds like a movie. And I was born after the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. And I always used to ask my mom, like, how did you want to have me after you were witnessing all that trauma? And I just always feel like, because I'm a post-child generation, a child, I am supposed to keep quiet. However, as you know, when you keep quiet, there are people who misconstrue our history. They say the wrong facts. And so when I wrote this poem, it's really more of a conversation. And there is a little bit of satire in there, so I hope you can hear it from my tone. But this is for people who deny the genocide that happened in 1994 here in Rwanda. So I don't have a title yet for this poem. You'll have to forgive me, but okay. As we know, for many at this hour, time was suspended for what felt like eternity. No time to breathe, no one to cry out for help or plead for their lives to be spared. Just standing there hopeless, lifeless, young, old, woman, man, children, eyes full of pain, but unable to let down some tears. Simply, what I could describe it, living corpses, waiting for their time to be erased from this world. A world that rejected them and persecuted them fiercely, till they succumbed to their death, till they took their last breath. But maybe these are just the words that you hear from survivors that live this nightmare. Yet, there are those that still deny this human tragedy. Whether it is numbers, if we look at numbers, there was over 1 million deaths across this nation. And there are still bodies to this day being found. Just like my uncle, who we don't know where he is. We don't know where he was killed, but we still remember him. Perhaps you would like to reduce to the many deaths as a number on a scale, just as you like to do to describe any tragedy. If you want proof, just look at the bodies of those that survived. They were mutilated, scarred for life. There were women being raped, children being born of rape, and so many more atrocities. Ones that you don't want to hear, maybe, or you couldn't believe that happened. Perhaps your courts and human rights or laws need more proof to justify what they did, these perpetrators, these so-called heroes of the West. Be it words, humans were reduced to animals. They were called cockroaches, serpents, enemies, and so on. And these are the words that determined if they were to live or survive. Perhaps your journals and writers, famous writers, have nothing to say, or they just want to write senselessly without knowing the stories behind. be it religion or education that you brought on this continent that only fed more poison and blinded people to the extent of having spouses turning on each other, having fathers kill their own children. Perhaps your religion and education did not teach people to turn on each other, right? Nor divide them further, right? I laugh, but I'm not happy. Be it freedom, free we were at last, until brave men and women sacrificed their lives to bring us all together. Maybe your idea of heroism must be based on a Hollywood fictional tale, or at least a fabricated story that anyone must believe. Don't even tell me about the Hotel Rwanda complex. Must you know the truth? Remember those we lost. Their death will not be set down by your pen. Their stories are still to be completed. Thank you. That's the first one. When I was, I think I was in university actually, I remember it was during the memorial time, and I don't like to say it's a special time in Rwanda, but it's a special time because we have to remember the people whose lives were lost. But I remember trying to tell people to come to the commemoration, and I was like, it sounds like I'm begging them to come listen to our story. But it's very important that we do tell our story, because no one can tell it better than us, even if you're a child of a survivor. But so I had written this, there's this movie called, I think Dogs or something, Shooting Dogs, yeah. And that movie really marked me. So if you want actually references of good movies, movies that talk about the genocide, Shooting Dogs is one of them. Sometimes in April, I think did a better job than most. But anyhow, so I was inspired by this, and I called this poem Mad Dogs, because that's what literally people describe as the Interahamwe, the people who were killing, how they were. Knock, knock. The man called. He called for his meal. I, the flesh of a mortified cockroach, and hairs resting on my temples, standing in sharp position like an arrow, while swimming in blood seas. Knock, knock, the man called. The door busted open. Amidst those mutilated bodies, like a dog, he began to sniff for his meal. I thought to myself, how I wish I was dead. For the scent of my blood are just fears, hopes, and dreams that were drained and disappeared as water. I no longer was thirsty, and with each breath, there was a long wait. The man's steps scratched the cemented floors. My ears broadened anxiously. I could hear the sound of death screaming loud in my brains. There is no time left for you. There is no time left for you. As I lay defeated on the ground, my body crouched and was stoned like a statue. The man knew there was someone, so he called my name. The loudest yell I had ever heard. He yelled, "I killed your entire family. Come and join the feast." I remained silent, praying to take my last breath before he could find me. It was already too late. His cold, pointy hands grabbed and pushed what was left of me out to the open, where dozens of men drooled for their prey, all waiting to bite into my roasted skin, eyes bloodthirsty, carrying their pitiless, sharp teeth, waiting for the siren signal. They rose in harmony, piercing away every last piece of me. A piece of my mouth that spilled my last words. A piece of my ribs that once cracked to endless laughter. A piece of my ears and voice that listened and chanted to Sunday choir. A piece of my face that was full of charm and wiped tears on my sad days. A piece of my hands that held tight my nana each time we greeted. A piece of my feet that once served to shake to music to Youth Friday. A piece of my heart that once loved the boy next door and yelled fury. A piece of my soul that once was divided by walls and painted in rainbow colors. A piece of thy that shall never be or become, but once was and will forever remain. I thank you so much. Thank you.